Hey guys, it's Heron,
And I'm Gigas.
and welcome to Campfire Embers, Episode 3, The Unending Source of Entertainment.
Yep.
Well, Gigas, quick question for you. What exactly is the unending source of entertainment?
Well, I think I've explained this before, but I will once again say it again. The unending source of entertainment is pretty much brought it into everything. But that's not why we're here.
No, it's not. We have a very specific definition for the unending source of entertainment, and that would be
Anime.
correct. Anime is a phenomenal just influx of entertainment created in Japan, then shot over to the U.S. Through various companies like Funimation and Crunchyroll and various other forms of that as well, including Netflix partnerships, Hulu partnerships, HBO, or Max, I guess now, partnerships, along with basically every streaming platform you can think of has some form of anime on it now, which
Yep.
is pretty backwards considering how anime was when I started watching it.
Well, fun fact, like, for people who don't know, like, anime now is definitely, like, more family friendly. And that was not the case, like, when it first originated. It very much was, like, an adult platform, like adult cartoons. That's what anime was. And you can even see, like, in newer things. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I was typing a note for Gigas on our subtopics here because I've noticed something while reviewing our content. We apologize for the excessive use of the word "like" with everything we talk about.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like something I have control over. It just kind of subconsciously comes out. So I will do my best to, like, consciously do that. But as you can hear me, I'm still doing it, trying to even think about taking it out of my vocabulary.
I get it, and it's a problem that I come into contact with the word It is apparently that's my kryptonite. So as we figure this stuff out, we hopefully will slowly working out of these weird mistakes. What were we talking about? We were talking about
Well, I was talking about the original, like, I'm not even going to talk to you about the whole slurs. Yeah, so pretty much anime was not very family friendly in the very beginning. It was more towards
No.
an adult audience.
It was, and I mean, just look at if you've never seen the original Dragon Ball anime. I'm sorry, I do apologize. All I can think about is and like now. You shouldn't have brought it up.
Yep, good job. This is on you.
Yeah, this is all me. Okay. Going back to how we originally scheduled this, I grew up watching Pokemon.
That's a very big change from what I was talking about. But yeah, let's
Yes,
go with
it was.
that.
But it does tie into the family-friendly-esque thing that a lot of anime has geared towards now. Because, let's just be honest, Japan is a very different culture from the U.S.
Oh, definitely.
Specifically when we're talking about anime, but in a lot of aspects as well. I've never been to Japan. I've always wanted to go, but I have a feeling I would fit in out there in most of their aspects, at least.
Nope, I totally wouldn't. There's not a single thing about me that would actually, like, scream, oh yes, this person is a giant anime fanatic.
Nope. The cherry blossoms in your room definitely don't don't scream, I love Japan. But All that to say, thank you, Japan, for creating a form of entertainment that has sprung a lot of very, very good messages over the years with various different stories and characters and stuff that we'll get into very shortly. As I said, though, and I dove into this a little bit in our first podcast. I grew up watching Pokemon. That was really how I got into playing Pokemon. The games, the trading card game, and watching the rest of the anime. The local library system we have in the town we're in, and really the surrounding areas as well, has these compilations of episodes from various cartoons and some anime, usually spanning from 4 to 5, sometimes 6 episodes of those areas. So sometimes it'll be in chronological order of the episodes. Sometimes it'll be coupled similar themed episodes. For example, I remember there was one like flame-esque, I guess fire type condensed episode disc set that had an episode from the Indigo League, which was Ash taming and riding the Ponyta that evolved into a Rapidash as he was running that race. Then moving forward to the Johto series where he caught his Cyndaquil and various other things like that, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So those episode compilations were how I watched the Sinnoh series, how I watched the Indigo series, how I watched some of the Pokemon movies, how I watched, really, that was it. All that to say, at the time when I was viewing those, I had no idea what anime was. So that was a cartoon to me. And a lot of people would argue that Pokemon and Avatar: Last Airbender and Korra are cartoons and not necessarily anime, but more so Avatar and Legend of Korra. But Pokemon is in fact an anime because it originally airs in Japan.
Well, yeah, you can even look at the art style of it too.
Absolutely. So that all to say, Pokemon was my first technical anime that I watched, even though I didn't technically know it was anime. However, the following anime that I did watch, the first one that I watched that I knew was anime, was Sword Art Online. But we'll get into that in just a minute. What was your first anime, Gigas?
Well, that it might come to a lot of a surprise to a lot of people of what like an extreme anime to start watching out. But yeah, I started with Attack on Titan.
That is one heck of a pilot.
Yes, very much so, and that's kind of what ended up getting me hooked on anime. Did I assume that like all animes were gonna be like this? No, but what I had expected for Attack on Titan was very different from even what is going on in the series right now.
True.
But I won't get into that.
I guess what did you think
reasons.
Attack on Titan was before you started watching it?
I didn't know actually. Like
you just kind of went in blind.
It was just something that a friend recommended me, and I knew it was an anime, and I was like, because at that point, like, I was like skeptical about anime. I didn't really know if I would like it or not because I didn't really watch anime. I didn't really watch Pokemon or like Dragon Ball or things like that.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or
yeah, like I knew
Sailor Moon, I think, was the other one around that time.
Well, like I knew they all existed, but I didn't really watch them. So I decided, okay, I'll give Attack on Titan a shot. The only way that I could actually watch Attack on Titan at that time, because, well, I don't know when Crunchyroll and Funimation, like, their, like, sites actually, like, originated.
When their streaming platforms, like, fully launched and stuff like that?
Yeah, I didn't really have access to, like, Netflix and stuff like that, so how I was able to watch this stuff was through YouTube.
Ah!
And
illegal uploads.
It was horrible, because it wasn't full screen, it was, like, this tiny little box, and then the rest was just full of their, like, YouTube credentials. So it was horrible to like watch it, but I still got.
I hate that because that's the gray line of illegal uploads versus because that's how you upload that kind of, that's how you used to upload that kind of content, and how a lot of people still upload that kind of content, with ignoring copyright.
Yeah.
Or I guess not really ignoring, but sidestepping copyright laws.
Yeah. It's a lot better now. But definitely, like, when it first started, it was awful, and you just had to pray that, like, you got the entire series in order, and it wasn't like scrolling through various different channels to find the one episode that you were looking for.
Yeah, it's because a lot of them didn't even upload a single episode in its like 24 minute like time length. Sometimes they were like 7 to 8 minute parts, and you would scour the internet finding the chronological part of the next episode of the episode you were watching, and that usually ended up taking longer than watching just a flat 22-minute episode.
Yeah, so this was 8-9 years ago.
Yeah,
when I first started watching anime.
Yeah, so I guess technically I consciously started watching anime back in 4th grade, however long that was ago. I guess 8, 9, 10, almost a decade ago.
Yeah. Now I've watched a lot of anime.
I've probably clocked over hundreds.
Oh, definitely. I could definitely say though.
Could you definitely say
my own experiences watching anime? They just have so much better like story than like what most Western like media has.
So, are you talking more like cartoons?
Well, just in general.
Unfortunately,
well, like when we grew up, we had really good cartoons like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, stuff like that. But the stuff that's going
Scooby-Doo
on
Mystery
now,
Incorporated, Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, sorry.
I'm just sad because it's all like reboots of like classic cartoons that they just like they do horrible at redoing. And
yeah, like did you see how on Netflix they remade the original Ben 10 cartoon?
Yeah. They attempted to redo the original Thundercats at one point.
Oh, I do remember that.
I didn't even watch it. I'm like, this is no.
It reminds me of it's on cringiness par with some of the Netflix live action anime adaptations.
Yeah.
For example, like Bleach and Cowboy Bebop and Death Note and various things like that.
I definitely think like most of these animes based off of a manga definitely helps because these story writers have so much time to like bring out as much detail into their story as possible before it goes into an anime.
Exactly.
And that definitely helps with story and like portraying that story.
Exactly, because what was I going to say? I guess how to phrase this. A good, I'd say 64% of anime are deprived from manga.
Yeah.
So having a finite resource that allows you to pull that animation and I guess storyboard that animation, because having manga to work off of essentially allows you to skip the storyboarding step.
Yeah.
Of creating media, which is really good because not only does it come out faster for fan viewing pleasure, but it also ultimately allows things to streamline in a lot more of a conscious basis. We're not going to talk about Tokyo Ghoul. But for example, like One Piece. One Piece does a very, very good job of that, at least from what I've seen so far. And same with Dragon Ball, same with Fairy Tail, and various other things like that. Various other manga inspired anime. That's a good way of phrasing it. All that to say, I guess the subpar topic of this stream is anime is incredible. We're both very big fans of it. What is your favorite anime, Gigas?
This is like very controversial with my favorite anime because a lot of people have different opinions on this, and sadly they have certain opinions on it before they even like watch the full anime. Like they watch the first episode of the anime and like, okay, this is garbage, I hate it, and they don't even really give it a chance.
No, and what's horrible about that is because the first half of season 1, the original story for the anime that we're discussing at the moment, it's very good. Unfortunately, it's also rushed.
Yes.
And that was a very unfortunate thing that happened, but they're making up for it now because of the movies they're releasing as we get ready for the next season of this anime that's coming out.
Yeah, so if you haven't put like the clues all together, I'm talking about SAO,
or more commonly known as Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, it's often referred to as the black sheep of anime for a lot of good reasons, but also it's unfairly judged because of those specific things. But it's also it's hard to say specifically because the end of season 1 has a pivotal thing that is not necessarily explored till the end of season 1, and season 2 plays off of a concept that happened in the first half of season 1, or at least the Gun Gale arc plays off of I guess Detective Kirito that spawned 2 episodes with the murder mystery arc that spanned 2 episodes in Aincrad, if that makes sense. It's hard to say. Either way, the original concept of people getting sucked into a video game and not being able to leave until they beat it, and if they die in real life, that's a cool concept.
Yes, it's very cool concept, and that's pretty much why it's my favorite anime, because like that's right up my alley with like things I like, video games, anime, a whole MMORPG, like open world where you can do anything you want, kind of like RuneScape.
Similar to WoW in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you want to go into a game like that?
Yeah, why would you not want to full dive and become something very different in a time that, like, in a fantasy, essentially fantasy era?
Yeah.
Where, like, all of the folklore of, like, goblins and dragons and all that stuff actually exist. Why would you not want to, like, go into that area of time? And also just being able to access it from your room, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's kind of scary because, like, you see the news and, like, we're getting closer and closer to this reality.
Exactly, with Elon Musk and Neuralink and stuff like that.
Well, even Meta's, like, experimenting in it, too.
Yeah, it is.
But it's, like, as it stands right now, it's very scary because, like, the only way to actually get this working right now is by surgically imprinting a chip in your brain.
Exactly.
And I don't think I'd
rather not, please. Thank you. Because, well, unfortunately, especially in the cyber era we're slowly developing into as a human society and the human race, I say slowly because even though we've had this tech up and running for 20, 30 years at this point, it's still running into a lot of problems, and especially problems like cybersecurity, hacking, and various code breaking as well. It's unfortunately, as far as cybersecurity and stuff like that is around at the moment, it's very unfortunate if you were to put a piece of tech like a Neuralink chip into your brain. What would happen if that got hacked?
Yeah.
What would happen? It's terrifying to think about, but that's neither here nor there, because that's the real world implications of this concept of SAO.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I kind of wanted to talk about, like, as we're still talking about this. It's not, like, anime related, but it's still, like, along the lines of what we were still saying. I found this out last night, but I found it really interesting. there is a game that's coming out in the near future called, I believe it's called Everywhere, and it takes heavy inspiration off of like Ready Player One, of like this centralized world where you like make your avatar and you can go to, like, and the first person shooter game, a racing game, build your own worlds and stuff like that, all in the one area. And that I found that really cool. But it's like, again, going more towards into that like heavy VR, even like full dive, because if you ever read Ready Player 2, that's essentially like they go into full dive.
Exactly, and another version of this that also happens is James Dashner's The Eye of Minds series. I think it's the actual series is called the Morality Doctrine series, which highly recommend. That book is phenomenal. The Eye of Minds is a fantastic book that I highly recommend everybody watch. Or yes, because you totally watch a book. Good job. I.
You good?
Sorry, that was total brain fart on my end. Yes, you watch a book. But if you like stuff like SAO, like the concept of the first half of season 1 of SAO and Ready Player One and stuff like that, I highly recommend you check out The Eye of Minds, because it plays along that concept as well.
Yeah. Going back to SAO though, and pretty much why it's my favorite. Yes, there are some issues. We don't really talk about season 2 for a lot of reasons.
Well,
but
let me say this. Like I said, there's a mini 2-episode arc in the Aincrad arc of season 1 where a player dies in a safe zone. And, correction, there is a air-quoted murder in a safe zone. And it causes Kirito and Asuna to go in detective mode. And largely that is exploited heavily in the first half of season 2 in the Gun Gale arc. So that's part of the reason why I don't like the pacing of it. And I will say it has a lot of good moments. The opening, Ignite, is a phenomenal opening, and it does very well to set the tone of what Gun Gale is.
Well, like story-wise, it's not bad. Compared to season 1 and season 3 though, not as good, but I'm more so talking about like the whole awkward love triangle between Kirito, Sinon, and Asuna. Because it's like you two are dating, but at the same time you're not making it very clear that you are.
Exactly. Until the movie Ordinal Scale.
Yeah.
But even then, even then, Sinon is very much regarded as a friend.
Yeah.
In that area, and it's very heavily implied that is the case. However, moving forward, I shouldn't say moving forward, but backtailing a little bit to the end of season 2, because season 2 of SAO is more Sword Art Online 2, as it's characterized as. It's split up into 3 arcs. You have the Gun Gale arc, which spans the first half of season 1 or season 2. You have the Excalibur arc, which is about 4 or 5, maybe 3-4 episodes after the recap of what happened in the Gun Gale, and following that is the Sleeping Knights arc, or more, or I guess it's technically known as the Mother's Rosario arc.
Yeah. That arc, I would say, is like the best arc of season 2.
I would personally say that it is the best arc between season 1 and 2, because even though it doesn't have to go with the original concept of what SAO started as, it ties a lot of themes together, and the end of that is the end of the Mother's Rosario arc is the closest I have ever come to crying at any form of media in my entire life, be it book, TV show, anime, movie, video game, what have you.
Yeah.
And it's... I recently rewatched... I guess I technically am in the process of rewatching SAO at the moment, and it made me feel the exact same way it did when I first saw it, when I watched it for the second time, and so on and so forth. I doubt it will never not make me feel that way.
Yeah, and like as you said, like currently watching it, I'm also currently watching or rewatching SAO with my family. I've watched it like 6, 7 times now, all the way through.
I've seen all of it through once. I still have yet to watch the progressive movies, and I feel bad about that because I've heard nothing but great things about the progressive movies.
Yeah.
But moving forward to my personal favorite season of SAO, and that would be season 3, also known as Alicization.
Yeah. Definitely way better in terms of animation and
Way better in
storytelling. Even
the time skip element.
Voice actors are
significantly better. Bryce Papenbrook feels a lot more comfortable with Kazuto Kirigaya as a character in a lot of aspects, and it's just readily apparent how much work was put into season 3.
Yeah, there's a big difference in quality between season 2 and season 3.
There's a big difference in quality between season 2 Ordinal Scale and Alicization.
Well, what was the time jump between the two? Like, between like the release date of Alicization came out a lot like far after season 2.
The jump between season 2 and season 3 of SAO is probably somewhere between 5 and 7 years. It was a pretty massive jump.
Yeah. But you can definitely see the quality increase between that time.
Oh, absolutely. And it works very well. Plus, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a phenomenal co-star for the majority of that season. And it's so good for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Because it's like... If you want to talk about like the psychoanalysis of those characters, Kirito has a lot of mental issues in exactly season 3, because the basis of season 3 is Kirito gets injected with poison while protecting Asuna IRL, and that goes to damage his brain, which then needs to be reconstructed, but he doesn't have access to how he got there from his memory speaking, and ends up in the underworld trying to figure out a way to contact the outside world to figure out what exactly happened. And unfortunately, a power surge happens right when he does that, and his brain is systematically destroyed.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic predecessor to War of Underworld, which unfortunately brings back the element of a very slow-paced arc.
Mm-hmm. It's still so good, though.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And across the board, if you look at it from those specific areas, I shouldn't say specific, because all those coupled together is roughly about 70% of SAO in its entirety. And that last 30% is stuff that if you can get through, you get to the really, really good parts of SAO.
Yeah, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing about like the first season as well, because like it's a really good season, and everyone says it's like super rushed, because I mean the anime does rush the first season, but this is also why like I'm wanting to like buy the actual manga of it, because it goes in through a lot of those like in between areas that does get touched up on a little bit in the progressive movies, mm-hmm. but like otherwise not really told, but is shown in the manga.
Absolutely.
And this is another reason why like other upcoming animes are working so well. Like Solo Leveling is about to get an anime release, and I've loved their series like when they were still making content, and they still are.
Absolutely.
But it's essentially like SAO, just not the whole cut to I'm OP. That's not what SAO was supposed to be.
No, it's not.
Like if you read the manga, it definitely shows Kirito like spending countless nights just grinding away at levels until he gets to become the strongest character. And
Absolutely.
I definitely think they needed to
they
keep
needed
that
to
in.
explore that a lot more because
Because the Aincrad arc could have been an entire season in itself.
dude, think about it. Like I don't remember exactly what they say Kirito's level is on episode 2 before they go into the first boss raid, but the jump between episode 2 and episode 3 of season 1 of SAO is so massive. It doesn't necessarily explore exactly why Kirito becomes a solo player until the end of that episode, but between episode even between episode 3 and episode 4 and episode 4 and episode 5, the jumps are so annoying because Kirito just suddenly becomes this most overpowered character and we have no idea how he got that way. Mm-hmm. Especially because he's being an idiot by being a solo player in a death game.
Yeah.
So why did he do that? Well, it makes sense why he did it after episode 3, but they needed to explore that. Because how do you go from being a good beater, essentially, to being extraordinary at this death game, allowing you to defeat bosses by yourself, essentially?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. And I think if they spent more time just diving into those, we would have had a much better season 1.
Exactly. Because
they focused way more on building the relationship between Kirito and Asuna throughout season 1 than they needed to. Honestly, they could have spanned the first 2 seasons of SAO between the Alfheim arc of season 1 and season 1 in its entirety. They could have spanned that into 2 full-length seasons, and I think the story would have been so much better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All that to say, yes, SAO is Gigas's, it's his favorite anime.
Yeah.
Going into mine, however, it still explores, it doesn't explore the concept of, like, MMO RPG, but it does expand upon the cyber universe, and more so specifically, in the form of machinery and technological advancements, especially in military applications, aka my favorite anime of all time, and it probably will be for the rest of my life, is an anime called Code Geass, and I'm specifically talking about the season 1 and season 2. Season 3, I will never watch it because of how perfect the ending of season 2 is. I cannot express how well that anime is from start to finish. It's phenomenal all the way through, and if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly, highly recommend you check it out.
Yeah, I've only watched a few episodes, and even last night decided to watch like 6 episodes of the first season of Code Geass, just because like I knew you were talking about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really watching a personal anime right now, so that's something I could watch.
It's just I can't explain it because it has a lot of genres coupled together that you wouldn't expect to work. It's a political warfare, mystery, supernatural thriller horror anime, which is a lot of words to essentially describe one of the most advanced plots I have ever seen in any piece of media ever.
Yeah, the main character Lelouch, I kind of get like Light vibes from him.
Absolutely.
Like from Death Note,
absolutely. I guarantee he got inspiration from Light, the creator for. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of either of those creators, but essentially the pilot of Code Geass. Oh, there's a lot to unpack in that. It starts out as this very, very bored teenager going and essentially going to play chess, illegal chess, with nobility throughout the realm of Britannia, specifically the Japanese district. And because how the preface of Code Geass is Britannia is an empire that took over the world through a piece of military technology called the Nightmare Frame. Essentially a very small Gundam-inspired mech that allows people to move extremely fast, coupled with grappling technology similar to that of Attack on Titan, and it is outfitted with various heavy gun machinery, and even some of the more advanced nightmares like the Lancelots explore a form of technology that isn't discussed because of how advanced it is. And it allows for essentially global takeover. I think it's stated, I haven't watched it in a little while, so bear with me if I have this information incorrect, but I believe it's stated at the beginning of the anime that they have a third of the world under the control of the Britannian Empire. However, during their takeover of a very specific country, Japan, they ended up they did in fact end up taking over Japan, and they replaced it with the code name Area 11. So people that recognize themselves as Japanese in this anime are known as 11s. And unfortunately, if you go to the Britannian Empire of Japan, if you go down the split into that, you are known as 11, and you are often referred to as a terrorist because of some of the extremists that take it into their own hands. Essentially, the military personnel of Japan. As I said, it's a very complicated story, and that is the preface for it. What ended up happening was these two 11s thought they stole poison gas from a military compound of Britannia. However, they did not. They actually... sorry, I'm unpacking this faster in my head than I am getting out through speaking. As they are being chased in their truck by this, they crash, and Lelouch is coming back from his illegal gambling with his friend Rivel, and they notice that this truck just crashed. So Lelouch, being the person that he is, hops out and immediately goes to check out if they're okay. However, in that moment, one of the 11s wakes up and immediately begins driving the truck out of the area, so that way they don't get caught by the military personnel. So Lelouch is now in the back of this semi-truck and just got into a very big heap of trouble, because now the Britannian Empire is gunning down this truck that not only do the Britannians think is poison gas, but the 11s think is poison gas, and it ends up being this girl known as C2 that blesses Lelouch with one of the most overpowered things in all of anime. The ability to stare at a person with direct eye contact and make them do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Which he then uses to create a vigilante group called the Order of the Black Knights to then take over the Britannian Empire. It's a very, very heavily... the plot is on par with Game of Thrones as far as complicated goes, because if you miss any part of the progression that the war is between the Order of the Black Knights and the Britannian Empire and the 11s, if you miss any of that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But as I said, the reason why I love that anime so much is because of the ending of season 2 and how perfect it is. And as a result, I personally refuse to watch season 3, which I believe is Lelouch of the Resurrection. I'm gonna say don't watch it. Don't watch it, because it ruins the most perfect ending in existence. All that to say, go check out Code Geass and give SAO a shot. Those are our favorite anime. What is your favorite anime? Please let us know in the comments on YouTube. Let us know in the chat, viewer. And please let us know on Discord as well. Moving swiftly on, though, what are you currently watching besides SAO and I guess Code Geass, Gigas?
Not really much at the moment. I kind of just did a 2-week just binge stream of like 3 different animes. I finished that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Phenomenal anime, highly recommend. And then I went to a very weird one that just came out, and I was like, that looks interesting. I'm gonna take a little peek at it.
You're gonna check out the
see.
pilot, see if it's something you want to unpack.
Yeah, I think it was only like 8 or 10 episodes.
Not even a 12er.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was reborn as a vending machine. I can't really say like it was like anything groundbreaking or anything like that. It was just a typical isekai. It wasn't bad, but also like it was like eh.
It was weird, and not necessarily in a good or bad way. Just weird is what I'm gathering from this.
And then I started watching one of probably a lot of people's favorite animes. Phenomenal story. Like I want to watch more of it because it's only a 12er. I really wish they made more of it. Nier Automata. Nier Automata, sorry.
I was just like, that's the first time I've heard you pronounce it that way.
Yeah.
I was like, did you make it
It's weird to like pronounce it because like when you initially see it, it looks like autonoma, like how us Americans would say it.
Yeah.
But they directly say automata in the anime, so that's why it's like Nier Automata. Like that's what I try to like say because that's what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super in depth. Story's great. And I see a lot of potential in it. Like
nice.
Further on, I haven't been able to see like the last like 2 episodes because like I don't really like watching subbed. I mean, you know this already. I don't really like if I have to. I don't watch subbed because I don't like reading and watching at the same time because it takes focus away from actually watching it because I have to read what it's saying. So I like watching dubbed anime because then I can fully focus on the anime itself.
So my personal dilemma with sub versus dub in viewing anime is I will take dub over sub more often than not just because I am from the US. I speak English as a primary language, and it's easier for me to enjoy something if it's presented to me in English. And it's all that to say, I have watched my fair share of anime in sub. I watched the Entertainment District arc and the Swordsmith Village arc of Demon Slayer in sub as they were coming out. Also, Demon Slayer, highly recommend. I cannot just say anything bad about that anime.
Yeah. I definitely want to say like there are animes that are better in subbed.
There absolutely are.
One that comes to mind is One Punch Man. I stand with the subbed version of One Punch Man being better than the dubbed.
I've only ever seen the dubbed, so I unfortunately cannot relate.
Yeah, the whoever the voice actor is for Saitama, so much better than the English voice actor. Not saying that the English voice actor didn't do well. He really did do a good job, but the Japanese voice actor for Saitama, it just fits so well. And it's after because I watched One Punch Man before it came out on dubbed. So that's what I watched first was One Punch Man in the sub version, and immediately once the dubbed version came out, I rewatched it.
Yeah.
I prefer the Japanese version.
Gotcha. Let's see. Going back to sub versus dub, my dilemma with sub versus dub is I largely only watch sub when an anime is currently coming out. Because when I watch sub, I focus significantly more on the episode's story and the animation and everything. I just absorb more of it when I watch sub, but that takes a lot more focus from me, and it burns me out if I watch it continuously, because I have tried to do it before and it doesn't work well with me. But only getting an episode or two of sub and then having to wait, I'd rather just not wait the 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So largely, like, while Demon Slayer and I guess just Demon Slayer was coming out, I watched the sub of it because I wanted to see it, and it was very, very well received. I also watched the movie Mugen Train first in sub, and then I watched it in dub.
Well,
and honestly,
we went to go see the movie together.
Exactly, and I we went and watched it both times together.
Yes.
But I personally believe that as far as the movie goes, not the episode version of the Mugen Train arc, but the movie in itself, I believe that is better in sub. I have not seen the Mugen Train arc, like episode series in dub. I have not seen the Entertainment District arc in dub, and I have not seen the Swordsmith Village arc in dub. The only dub I have seen of Demon Slayer was season 1, and the funny thing about that is I didn't watch season 1 in sub either.
Yeah, all I can think about Mugen Train is just umai.
Umai. I think my favorite part about that is they actually explained how Rengoku got all of those box lunches in the extra episode of the Mugen Train arc.
Yeah.
Which honestly actually makes sense. Mm-hmm. And they did a very good job of explaining umai.
Yes.
But that's kind of my dilemma with sub versus dub. I will take dub over sub any day, just because it's easier for me to consume a lot of that in various fashions. But as it's coming out, I prefer sub.
Yeah.
All that to say, I am currently watching One Piece and Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball anime, and the original. Well, I shouldn't say the original, but the One Piece, the Shonen Jump One Piece anime.
That is some very big commitments there.
There are, and as a rule for myself, to make sure that I'm constantly watching them, I am watching at least one episode of each of them a day. I just completed the second collection of the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball, and I just got to the Alabasta arc in One Piece. All that to say, while I was watching the East Blue Saga of One Piece, the animation, while I got to the Don Krieg section, I was also watching the live-action One Piece that came out on Netflix. And I just want to say, first and foremost, Netflix does not have the best track records with live-action anime adaptations. Cowboy Bebop.
Well, Death Note as well.
But I will say this: the One Piece live-action adaptation of One Piece is so good. From start to finish, it's funny. The cast does a very good job of exploring different aspects of the characters in good ways, and the cast IRL is just their affinity with each other is so well received in a lot of aspects. So I thought very, very highly of the live action, and as I was watching the East Blue Saga, while I was viewing that, it just added so much between the juxtaposition between those two, or the contrast between those two sources of the One Piece manga, and it's so good.
Well, like, One Piece is like, what, 11, 12 years in the making right now, and they're still making
more than that, I believe. I don't unfortunately know offhand when the first episode of the Shonen of the East Blue Saga, the pilot of One Piece, came out, but it's been up there for a while.
Yeah, but the anime itself only takes place, I believe, like 3 years, and there's like a 2-year gap in the anime.
There is a time skip. I don't know offhand how big of a time skip actually is, and I have not gotten there yet, because out of the almost 1,100 episodes of One Piece that there are, I have only seen about 70 of them. So
yeah, you got a long way to go.
I got a little ways to go still in that, but all that to say, One Piece is phenomenal, and just start it. is all I'll say with that, because you're missing out on a very, 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 very good story.
Yeah.
Same with Dragon Ball in a lot of aspects. I've very much been enjoying Dragon Ball since I started watching it, and it is widely received negatively in a lot of aspects, because the most popular reason for a lot of people not watching it is the fights last 3 or 4 episodes.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason, like, it wasn't made for, like, Funimation Crunchyroll that you can just binge watch it. It was made for, like, a cartoon.
It was made
that you could watch on, like, cable, like, every week.
Every day in some aspects. It was made.
It was designed for that, like Naruto was and Pokemon.
Exactly. So, like, the narration aspect of, like, Pokemon does a very good job of that. Narration aspect of Dragon Ball does very good with that, because that's how they were received in the U.S. And that's why a lot of people kind of coagulate that. But I will say, Son Goku is a fantastic protagonist. Monkey D. Luffy is a fantastic protagonist. I want to talk about this too, because the big 3 anime is Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto, and they're received this way because of how long they've been going on and how good the stories are. And that being said, obviously I didn't include Dragon Ball in that list, and Shonen Jump is founded on Dragon Ball. It's because Dragon Ball is known as the grandfather anime of Shonen, and it's very well received. That's why whenever people talk about anime, a lot of people immediately start thinking about Dragon Ball, because anime as a concept, like Pikachu is for Pokemon, Dragon Ball is for anime.
Yeah.
It explored, and it was one of the first iterations of anime in the US. So it makes perfect sense why it would be received that way. And I am a fan of fights. I am a fan of fighting. I enjoy watching I enjoyed watching Karate Kid. I enjoyed watching Cobra Kai as it's still coming out. I enjoyed watching like big martial arts stuff like that. I always find it very, very cool. I'm getting back into martial arts as it is, IRL, because I'm watching Dragon Ball. It's so good, and for various reasons. So that's why I'm watching both of those back to back at the same time, because you should just start watching bigger anime like that. Like, even if you don't end up finishing it, at least you have references to draw upon, which ultimately just makes you a better anime viewer.
Yeah.
As far as like the culture of anime goes into that. And speaking of the culture of anime, what are you planning on watching in the near future as far as anime is concerned?
Well, going on to those, like, long-winded animes, I'm trying to get back into Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 100 and something episodes in Naruto, and I need to get back into it.
I'm at episode 148 of Naruto.
Yeah. It's Naruto. I want to also get back into Fairy Tail, because I've only watched the first season.
Fairy Tail is also a very phenomenal anime.
Going back to earlier, that was one of those animes that I started watching on YouTube, and I could only find the first season. I like trying to find this season 2. It would just jump onto like season 4 or 5. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, I can't even tell what's season 2. Like, where does one line end? Where does one begin? So I just couldn't watch anything more than season 1.
I did also watch, when I first started viewing Fairy Tail, I also watched it on YouTube, because back then I didn't have access to like Crunchyroll, or I didn't realize Hulu had anime and stuff like that. So I watched Fairy Tail on Netflix, and that only goes up to the end of, I think, the 5th arc, which is the Thunder Palace arc, and that ends with the episode Fantasia. So as soon as that got finished, me and my sister were watching Fairy Tail at the same time, together at the time, and we decided to look it up on YouTube, and we found a playlist that spanned the next 3 or 4 arcs after that, and then it got removed from YouTube. So we ended up watching it on, unfortunately, we watched it on illegal pirating websites because that is
as you do.
As you do. I will admit to that, as should a lot of anime viewers, because unfortunately a lot of people don't have access to things like Crunchyroll and Funimation or Hulu,
or just even have the money to afford it.
Exactly, but they want to experience the story, so that's where that comes into play. And I do realize it's wrong because it doesn't give the media groups who make those animes money. It doesn't give them anything like that. But unfortunately, you do what you do to consume the content you want.
Yeah, and sadly, like even Crunchyroll, they don't even do like a free service anymore like they used to.
They don't.
It's strictly premium now if you want to watch anything.
Exactly, which is so unfortunate because a lot of people can't afford spending $15-17 a month on Crunchyroll. I do, but it's back then I couldn't because I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
But all that to say, that's
speaking of Crunchyroll. I've seen your Crunchy list.
Yeah.
I've seen the massive amount of animes that are on there.
Uh-huh.
Which ones of those are you particularly going to watch next?
So I have it flooded right now. I think on my watch list on Crunchyroll, I have probably somewhere between 85 and 90.
And anime. I know a good chunk of those are animes that I have recommended to you that you said you would watch and haven't.
They're on my list. Currently what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on a main anime while I'm also watching Dragon Ball and One Piece. Right now I've started doing this concept with 12ers. I watched Sky Wizards Academy. I'm in the middle of watching Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor, which I will say I highly recommend episode 2 of Akashic Records because of a very popular edit that is flooding TikTok right now. But I am watching those as I finish them.
Yeah, because I know one that I've recommended to you is Darling in the Franxx. I've been telling you to watch that for over a year now.
I watched over half of it.
Yes, I don't know why you didn't finish it.
I got distracted.
Another anime that is probably one of the most upcoming and most popular animes right now is Vinland Saga.
Exactly.
Which is entirely like Viking based. It's no magic, no like extreme stuff. It does a very good representation of like what Vikings and the kind of culture around that was in an anime format.
I'm just embarrassed at the moment because Gigas is my best friend and he knows very, very much my affiliation with Vikings. I love Vikings. I love anything surrounding Vikings. I love exploring concepts in Norse mythology. It's phenomenal. And
you watch like 3 episodes?
I didn't even watch that. I watched the pilot. And I still regret not continuously watching that because I loved the pilot.
That's probably something you should look back into.
Eventually, it's on my list. That's all I'll say there. I guess that's that. The reality of really why we titled our episode of this podcast "The Unending Source of Media, Source of Entertainment," because as I said, you've recommended probably 20 plus anime to me, and I have them on my list, and I will get to them eventually. I guarantee you have anime that I have recommended to you that you have not watched. AKA, I know you're starting on Code Geass, but there's also Inuyasha, and I highly recommend watching One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Yu-Gi-Oh, and various other things like that. So it's I can throw that in your face as well, good sir.
There's only so much time in the day.
There is only so much time in the day. All that to say, there's also how we started off this podcast was stating the fact that it was anime was not widely very well received when we were growing up because of unfortunate things like fan service and things like that were not very socially acceptable in the US.
Well, it's very weird because it went from anime being a strictly like adult cartoon to now people thinking it's only for kids.
Absolutely. And it's even going into aspects of like big old gym rats and stuff like that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people admire those people because of how fit they are, but I guarantee a good 85% of those people started going to the gym because of anime like Dragon Ball and Naruto and One Punch Man, and heck, it's inspired me to continuously go to the gym as well, because of just how those stories are presented. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate in that aspect, but I will say the fortunate aspect of that is anime is becoming significantly more culturally appropriate in the US because of it. And it's allowing people to explore these stories that are, and these concepts that are not unpacked well at all in like Western culturalized media and things like that. Some aspects are, some aspects haven't even been touched. So some of the best stories can be found in books. Some of the best stories can be found in movies. Some can be found in TV shows. But more often than not, a lot of really good stories are found in anime.
Yeah. Like, I have a bookshelf in my room right now, like, probably, like, with the almost complete version of The Promised Neverland that I still need to read.
So yeah, there's the manga aspects of it. So even if you don't like, even if you don't necessarily like watching anime, but you prefer reading like comic books instead, there's another aspect of anime you can use, aka manga.
Yeah, well, even manga like has branched off into things like webtoon. There's very much some like Korean-based manga that are really good.
Oh, absolutely. Not necessarily Korean based, but I'm currently watching reading Down to Earth as it goes through. I read one called Brass and Sass as it was going out, which was very, very well created. And also another one that I'm currently watching, going back into the Gym Bros aspect of anime and manga. I am watching it's weird because you're technically watching while also reading comic book / manga.
Yeah,
but
you.
So that's why I keep continuing to say.
Yeah, you essentially get the idea. Like, it's very much a strain of it. You definitely see references of manga being portrayed in those sites.
Absolutely. All to say, I'm not only watching / reading Down to Earth at the moment. I'm also reading Swolemates,
which I got you into.
We started reading that at the same time, good sir. Thank you very much.
But I was the person who showed you it.
Not true. I saw that it was a thing and started reading it. That same day, you did the exact same thing, and you brought it up. There's a difference, good sir. Don't take credit for that.
I beg to differ, but we'll move on.
Absolutely, but that's all those series on Webtoon. I highly recommend going to check out because they are very great. And the funny thing is, Down to Earth explores concepts like the emo-esque store known as Spencer's. It has references to Legend of Zelda, Avenged Sevenfold, various things like that, all very hilariously characterly drawn to ignore or to ride that gray line of avoiding copyright, aka I believe one of the shirts for Avenged Sevenfold is notated as I think it's what is it? It was Avenged Sevenfold. I think it's like Hold Forged Eightfold, I think is what it was. And then you have the Legend of Zelda instead of the Legend of Zelda. You have Spenders instead of the store Spencer's. It's just little things like that are very entertaining as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reality with where culture is getting intermingled with anime and stuff like that, and manga as well. And the US is taking a lot more Japanese influence in that form of media as well. It's phenomenal in a lot of aspects, and it's exploring stuff that a lot more people need to just give a shot to.
Well, I also think like these big blockbuster media companies need to take notes from it too.
Absolutely.
Like Marvel, DC, even Disney are like just having back-to-back flops with their movies and stuff. Like, I'm not even really interested in watching their upcoming movies.
Yeah, one of my favorite
but you constantly see people lining up to see like animes and stuff like that.
Absolutely. when we went to go see the Mugen Train movie, our theater was sold out.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
That's another thing we didn't even talk about.
There's a new movie that what I forget his name, but the director who
Miyazaki.
Yeah, it's gonna be his last movie, and I guarantee that's
It's going to explode.
It's gonna be sold out.
And the funny thing is, I actually took inspiration from that title of that with my my username Heron Flame. We're talking obviously about the movie coming out, The Boy and the Heron, I believe is the name of it. Or maybe it's The Heron and the Boy. I forget exactly what it is, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, and Studio Ghibli definitely shaped anime in itself as well.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what got a lot of people into anime.
I remember I grew up watching My Neighbor Totoro and Ponyo, and just recently I showed you Princess Mononoke, which is a masterpiece of a film. And it's... oh, man. That's another thing we could totally unpack, but unfortunately we are running out of time in this episode of our podcast, and we've gone over time. But we just wanted to talk about anime because it's a very, very big part of both of our lives, and it will continuously be.
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be like more to talk about in the future. Like, there's so many animes that are upcoming. There's so many things that are changing.
For example, Rising of the Shield Hero Season 3 just released.
Yeah, I saw that. It's on my to-do list to watch.
Same. That's another one I highly recommend checking out, especially if you like isekais that are similar to the concept of futuristic technology and stuff like that. It explores that through something called status magic, which is very interesting. But all that to say, thank you for joining us for another episode of Campfire Embers. We hope you enjoyed us ramble about anime and our physical affiliations with those things, and just our opinions on how they're being how it's all being received in our country as well. It's phenomenal, and we love anime. If you're skeptical about certain things, just what's the worst that could happen? You watch the pilot and then stop watching it? Yeah. Big deal. Check it out. Check out what we recommended. We'll check out what you guys recommend, because it is truly the unending source of entertainment. Yeah. So thank you guys once again for checking us out and listening to us. Please check out our Discord, our YouTube, which will have this uploaded in about a week.
Actually, it should be this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode will come out. Also, for our Twitch viewers, we will be streaming a new game in about 10-15 minutes. We're gonna give ourselves a little break. Yep, and it's a game that I've wanted to play for ages. And it was also PewDiePie's first Let's Play he ever did. So yeah, I've dabbled a little bit in it, but I'm not a huge horror game person. See, the funny thing is I am. So yeah. I mean, I will be playing a horror game tonight with a couple of some other friends. That's gonna be really fun. I hope check them out. Everyone that is watching this right now tunes in later tonight to watch. Absolutely, and as it goes, as I was saying, everything we stream ends up going up on YouTube eventually. So check it out. Yeah. I think that's everything that we need to talk about. Absolutely. We'll see you guys in about 10-15 minutes. But that will be the end of our stream and the end of this episode of Campfire Embers. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.